Alright, 2016 Honda CR-V. We're going to do rear pads and rotors on it. So, first thing we're going to do is take the wheel off. If you do not have a impact, you're going to want to break these lug nuts free before you... Wheel's a little stuck, which means we're going to need to clean the back of the wheel and the hub for sure. Let's give it a few taps with a hammer. Should come off. Get that off. We'll set it out of the way. Alright, first thing on the agenda, we're going to remove these two 12mm bolts. They are the slide pin bolts. Just take a 12mm ratchet or wrench, whatever you got. They break free pretty easily. Since this is a newer vehicle, only has 100,000 miles. Since this is a newer vehicle, break these free and then they'll pretty much, well, usually should just spin out by finger. Alright, now we're going to work this out. On the other side I had an issue where the pad was stuck to the bracket. So I'm just going to go ahead first and try and break it free. Use a pry bar to pry up. Just work it back and forth. Yep, pad is stuck on there. Broke it free. Get this in. See if it'll come out now. These are kind of tough. They don't want to come out for some reason. But I think I got it. Oh yeah, the pad was stuck. Came out of the caliper. We got it out. See, these inner pads have these prongs that stick into the piston and hold it in place. But yeah, this thing is stuck on that bracket. So we know for sure that this bracket has a bunch of rust buildup on it. And so does the hardware. Alright, so we're going to set our caliper up here out of the way. Next thing, we need to remove these two 17mm caliper bracket bolts. I'm going to use a breaker bar. Since these are rear brakes, we don't have a lot of room for an impact. Need a better angle. Oh, my mistake. That would be why it wouldn't break free. I was tightening it. There it goes. Do the same to the top. There it goes. Break it free with a breaker bar first, and then switch to a ratchet. I don't like to break tight bolts like this free with a ratchet or ratcheting wrench because you can mess up the teeth inside. And two things will happen if you mess up the teeth inside. You break your tool, and usually when the tool breaks, you end up punching something because your ratchet was loose. So just avoid that. All right, so that's free. Rotor's a little stuck. Give it a couple taps with a hammer. There it goes, it moved. There it goes. That one was a little more stuck than I like. All right, now we need to inspect our slide pins. So these are your slide pins right here. They move in and out, and they spin. You want to make sure that they spin freely. So now we're going to take the old hardware off. Maybe. Let me get a screwdriver. Yeah, this side's rusty. And then you can take a grinder, a wire wheel, or a wire brush. You want to clean all this rust off of here, because you want no rust. You want a nice smooth surface for your new hardware to sit on. Otherwise your pads won't move freely. They will wear irregularly. And if your new hardware doesn't sit straight, it could contact your rotor and make noise. So clean it up real good, both sides. Doesn't have to look brand new. That looks pretty good. Get our new hardware. And we'll just pop it into place. Both sides. Okay. On this one, what holds it in place is the center piece right here, if you can see that. And that goes in here. There's a little bit of rust in there. It doesn't want to sit flat. So I'm going to take my brush, clean that up. See if it'll go in now. Yep. So now we got our hardware in. And now we're going to get our new rotor. You want to get some brake clean and a rag. We put oil on these rotors to prevent them from rusting when they're in stock at shops and in part stores. So you want to clean all that oil off. And then flip it. Do the other side. Wipe it all off. Nice and clean. So now we're going to take our 17mm bolts. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did when taking them off, just in reverse. I'm going to snug them up with my ratchet. And then I'm going to switch to my breaker bar. Again, so that I don't break my ratchet and end up punching something when it breaks. Once you got that tightened down, you can take your outboard pad, which is the one without the tabs to hold it in, and it just sits in place. Now, we're going to compress our piston. You can use a C-clamp. I like to use this. It's a caliper compressing tool, and it makes the job a lot easier. And faster. Just like that, it's done. So now we're going to take our inboard pad and stick these inside of the piston. Just be careful not to contact the boot with these tabs. You don't want to tear a hole in the boot. That's in. Got the pad in. Now we're going to pull out our slide pins. Inspect them for any rust. I like to clean rust off. These look nice. Wipe off any old grease. Take some new high temp brake parts grease. Put a little bit on here. Don't want to overdo it. And then you're going to take this, stick it back in, spin it around, make sure that it's working properly, and then do the same for the bottom. Got grease on that. Stick it in, spin it. Everything's working good. Now we're going to slide our caliper on. There it goes. Be careful not to twist up your brake hose. Make sure it's the correct way, otherwise the brakes will not function properly. You're going to take your two 12mm slide pin bolts. Get these started. And then grab your wrench or ratchet or whatever you're using. I like to just tighten these as far as I can by hand. Get it snug. I like to get both of them snug first before I tighten all the way down. Alright, and then give them a little bit extra, make sure they're nice and tight. That's good. Alright, spin it. Make sure there's no noise, no hardware contacting it. And then, last thing, on your old rotor, you got this rubber seal, which is your access point to your e-brake adjustment. So we're going to pull that out. Looks like this. And then you usually have to use a screwdriver and just push it back into the new one. And that's it. Brakes are done. Make sure that you torque your lug nuts, and before you drive it, pump the brake pedal about half pumps until brake pedal firmness returns, and you're good to go.